USC's 2026 recruiting class has a chance to be really special. Doesn't matter what their class ranking is, but it's all business.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network, making it your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, I know you've got a variety of places you can download this podcast. Wherever you do it, it's free, and I always appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, I gave my everyday listeners, viewers, I started to list out all the different official visit dates and the visitors that are going to be showing up on those dates. Kind of laying it out, showing how important this summer is going to be and how all these recruits are excited. There's a lot of enthusiasm around the program right now, and they're all RSVP. They're getting those dates locked in. You want to make sure they have a spot at the bash. So the first weekend in June is loaded with some of the best players in the country, including there's a couple of Trojan commitments already in that weekend. Guys like Samodi Katawanga, you've got Josh Holland. Those guys are going to be doing their very best to convince others who will be there that weekend, like wide receiver Chris Henry Jr. You've got Caden Dixon-Wyatt, both of those guys at Mater Dei. You've got Trent Mosley, Mode's teammate at Rancho Santa Margarita. And then you also have Malachi Lee, the offensive lineman from Hawaii, that USC seems to be trending really well for. So all of those guys that I just mentioned, they're going to be there on June 6th, that weekend. It's going to be the first June bash that USC likes to do during the summer. In fact, I'll be honest with you, by the time that June date arrives, I think you'd probably see 2 or 3 of those guys committed to USC. If you missed yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, don't worry. You can check back. You can watch it after this episode. You can go back and you can check out that entire list. And trust me, it's extensive. June 6th, the 13th, the 17th, the 6th. I lay it all out there. So go check it out. However, regardless of who is RSVPing and locking in their dates that they want to visit, 4 names, and I emphasized it on yesterday's show, but I really want to dive into it a little bit more in this first segment on this show. So June 17th, there are only 4 names that are going to be attending that particular official visit. And it was done strategically. I think USC is the one setting up this particular day. When I say invite only, it's the coaching staff, anybody who's involved with the recruiting process, they mark this as a special day. So those 4 players, again, Brandon Arrington, Mark Bowman, Talanoa Ely, Tomahini Topui, Tom. I don't anticipate that group getting bigger, okay? And if they do add anybody, maybe 1 or 2 more players, and those guys, whoever does get added to the list to that particular day, they're going to be top of the list guys, right? Recruits like Ryder Lyons. First off the bus dudes, USC's highest priority. Think Jakeem Stewart in the class of 2025. That type of prospect is who's going to be showing up for that June 17th date. Brandon Arrington. So let me just review those 4 players. He's the 15th overall ranked player in the country, which makes him the 3rd best player in the state of California, but he's the number 1 cornerback in the country according to On3. So you got Mark Bowman. He's the tight end from Mater Dei, the 21st overall ranked player in the country, the 5th best player in the state of California, and he's considered the number 2 tight end in the country. Talanoa Ely, the linebacker. Okay, he is considered the 81st overall ranked player in the United States of America. He is considered the 11th best player in the state of California and the 4th best linebacker in this great country that we live in. And then the last player, Tom Tom. He's a defensive tackle from modern day. We talk about him all the time. His national ranking, it's not that impressive. But when you think about how many high school players there are in this country, if someone says, you know what, you're the 171st best player in the country out of, 5,000, you're pretty good. He's also the 19th best player in California, and he's considered the 15th best at his position. These are the rankings, the algorithm that On3 spit out, and that's what I'm working with today. So again, let me emphasize, those 4 players, those 4 prospects, those 4 Southern California recruits were put together for a reason. It's not a weekend. It's not some huge summer bash. It's not going to be a party. Don't get me wrong. They'll be wined and dined. They're going to get the whole red carpet treatment on steroids, but they're going to. It's a small, intimate group. So maybe even more than others, these are the 4 guys that USC wants to win. So of all those other recruits that they're after, they're all a big priority. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to understate that. But these 4 particular guys, these are the guys that USC wants to win. It's a competitive thing. Think Jakeem Stewart. I mean, he was a huge pickup in the class of 2025. His commitment, it kind of opened the eyes of other national, elite recruits nationally. Guys like Xavier Griffin, it's a perfect example. However, when you have guys like Brandon Arrington and Mark Bowman and Tom Tom and Talanoa, those are the 4 California guys that if USC gets those guys, it changes the landscape. It returns USC back to prominence. I'm not just talking about recruiting. Those are the type of players you want to bring into your program because they're game changers. They make you better. But if Coach Riley and his staff can go 3 for 4 or even 4 for 4 with those guys, it's going to reestablish USC's recruiting dominance. That's what I'm talking about. USC wants this win. It's the first win of the season, so to speak. It sends a message back to Alabama and to Georgia and to Texas and Oregon and all those programs. They're going to look, the California store is closed. USC has bought everything up. And I know I shouldn't say it that way, but in today's world of recruiting, you're buying everything up. Look, for me, it doesn't matter if USC has the number 1 ranked class or the 3rd best or the 7th best. I think I've proven my point enough that the ranking system is just complete subjective BS. However, again, when USC locks up those particular recruits, others are going to follow, especially if the team is winning this year. Yeah, that's me knocking on wood. Especially if the team's winning 9 or 10 games in 2025. Once USC has that train rolling, it's hard to stop. Look, I'm not saying that Riley is about to start another Pete Carroll, Trojan dynasty type of thing. He's got a lot to prove before he can say, I'm Pete Carroll, I'm John McKay. But prioritizing those guys together and then explaining to them why and how valuable they are, this is the right way to do this. Sometimes you've got to say, you just got to take a certain group of kids aside and say, I'm going to spend some extra time with you. I mean, essentially USC, this is how bad they want these wins. We'll use Brandon Arrington. USC is already pulling out all the heavy hitters. They're using every resource possible. Forget NIL, revenue sharing, all that. That'll be there. Did anybody catch the picture on social media on Brandon's? I think it was his ex X platform. Maybe it was Instagram, whatever. Anyways, he and Adoree Jackson hanging out together, arms around each other's shoulders, throwing up the fight on signs. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to have one of USC's best ever doing a little recruiting. That will never hurt. So if Adoree Jackson can tell Brandon Arrington, hey, I came out here, I went to USC, look what it did for me. I'm still playing in the NFL. That's going to carry some weight. So again, June 17th, it's the middle of the week. It's all business. Deals have to be closed. I'm not saying they're going to ask for the commitment right then and there, but they want to secure it up. They want to, when those young men go home, whether it's on the 18th or the 19th or whenever they go home, they're going to know that they're being appreciated, and they will understand they are the guys that USC wants. One, to build back a national championship roster. Two, to send the message across the country. USC's back. This is our recruiting grounds. This is our backyard. If you want to get inside this fence, you got to go through us first. All right. We're gonna talk about buying recruiting. Can you buy a recruit? Can you buy a ranking? Let's talk about it in the next segment. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, or if you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets, and you can do a same-game parlay. You'll love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether you're backing your team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three-pointer, you will never feel like you missed a chance. Plus, I say it all the time, I'll say it again. Their app is super easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers, you can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com, join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. One of my everyday viewers saw yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, and they asked a question in the comments section on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you have not subscribed yet, let me remind everybody, it's free. Just click that red subscribe button. Take 1 second. Done? Good. All right. Now I want you to smash that thumbs up. Both of these help the show grow. And I don't want you to miss any episodes, and I don't want you to miss any information. So click that bell notification button. Now you're covered. I will be your Sherpa through this long off season. Keep everything going. Spring camp's coming up, so you're going to want to be around anyways. All right. So one of my everyday listeners, viewers, his name is FootballFan49-L5. He asked me, he says, Mark, can the rating authority, can they be bribed? Just wondering. He was asking, can the talent evaluators who end up hanging stars around high school recruits' necks, can they be bought? Can they be bribed? When I saw the question, the first thing that popped into my head was a recruiting story that I heard about probably 20 years ago now. Anyways, the guy he was from the Southeast, and he just thought he was the big kahuna, right? He was the guy in the recruiting world. So there was a recruiting guy. He worked for the Rivals Network. I'm not going to give out the name, but he tried to bully a recruit. The prospect didn't want to talk to him. He was ignoring him. Not sure exactly why. That basically the recruit's like, dude, I'm not here to talk. I'm here to work. It was one of those camps. So I get it. Long story short, this particular recruiting guru told the kid, look, if you don't talk to me, I'll make sure your ranking is low. So, yes, rankings can be manipulated. They can get messed up depending on who the evaluator is. If that person has some sort of personal grudge or issue that they're an axe to grind, absolutely. So that was on the negative side of things. I mean, look, USC has someone who's arriving to USC, Gus Cordova. He's a legitimate top-end elite talent, 4-star talent. But he's being penalized for what happened, in a hazing incident situation as a junior in high school. Both he and the other party involved, everybody got beyond it. But for whatever reason, he's like getting the Pete Rose effect. He's worthy of that 4th star, is my point. But this is the type of stuff that goes on. These are the types of shenanigans that go on behind the scenes. Stuff like that happens more often than not. Excuse me. Now, I do know for a fact that some high school assistant coaches, they'll get certain schools to offer scholarships. It just takes a $500 handshake. And now all of a sudden, you've got a recruit who's getting artificially inflated. And trust me, there are parents out there willing to make that kind of deal for their kids. They're marginal Division I players. But they want to see their kid with a scholarship offer under his name, whether it's on the On3 network or Rivals or 247 or ESPN. Parents live through their kids vicariously. And I get it. I understand it. You want the best for your son or daughter. But we have to teach these kids how the real world works. Not everybody gets a participation trophy. This isn't Little League. This isn't Pop Warner. College football, college athletics, it's big business now. NIL, revenue sharing, contracts. Yeah. I'm having a hard time pulling myself across this line right now. Pulling myself over the threshold into the new world. It's a little different. So yeah, I can see how a ranking can be bought. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Another question that one of my everydayers, Barry Fisher, asked the following question. He said, Mark, loved your rant on player rankings. Also agree on the rules change. One comment would be the tempo at which the clearinghouse can review every NIL proposed contract. I mean, that's going to be a lot of reviewing to do. Can they do it in a timely manner? What Barry's referring to was on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC in the 3rd segment, talking about how the powers that be, the power brokers with the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, Pac-12, they're all getting together and they're trying to come up with some rules and regulations and penalties going forward for NIL and transfer portal, player tampering, all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff's going on behind the scenes right now. So to answer your question, Barry, I think they can. It's going to take some time to kind of streamline the process. But yes, it's going to be a big office. It's not going to be just one person. I think what we're going to eventually find out, because we're starting to find out now. By the way, there's a great story from On3. Pete Nakos put it out. You can check it out over there on wearesc.com. And it's got quotes from not every program, but from programs from each of the major conferences, whether it's a coach, an assistant coach, from somebody from a collective, telling you how things are working behind the scenes. It's a fascinating read. It's going to leave your jaw dropped, going, wow, all that's going on. Go check it out. But I think, yes, eventually they'll have the process in place. Again, it's going to be a large office, many people doing this. And I think what we're going to find out is a lot of these NIL deals that are being floated around, we're going to find out that a lot of them are just BS. They're full of it. It's not true. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Here's a classic example of a player who might be being misled. Okay. The starting cornerback from Tennessee, the Volunteers, who just went to the playoffs this past season. His name is Ricky Gibson. He's a starter. He is telling everybody we're in February. The spring transfer portal window doesn't open up until April 16th. It's open for 10 days. But he made it known on February 25th that he's entering his name into the transfer portal. Somebody's telling this young man that they have a big NIL deal set up for him somewhere. I hope it's true. I really hope it's true. But these are the types of negotiation ploys that are going on now. USC, you know how it works. You saw it happen with Bear Alexander. We saw how it worked out with Emmanuel Pregon. There are people out there that are saying, all right, well, how much is this school paying you? Great. Come with me. I can get you this. And then a lot of times, most of the time, those deals turn out to be not as good as everybody thought they were. So I hope this one works out for the young man. But you're going from a 10-win team in the SEC, a starter, and you're going to try and play the grass is greener elsewhere? Don't tell me Tennessee didn't step up to the plate. You know they did. All right. We got one more segment to go. So, did you see Jakeem Stewart? He's already paying it forward. You check out the rundown. That I think you'll understand where I'm going with this. We see it all the time in professional sports. A young man gets his first professional contract, and he goes out and buys his parents, new house. A thank you for all the sacrifices that were made. You love seeing that type of stuff, right? Professionals. First contract, let's buy mom a house. She helped raise me by herself, for my 5 siblings, and she put everything aside to make sure that we got what we needed. You love that type of stuff. Well, if you're a first-round NFL draft pick, you can afford to buy mom a house or a new car. Well, welcome to the new world where teenagers who haven't even played a down of college football are doing the same thing. Jakeem Stewart, the freshman defensive lineman from Louisiana, he just got done taking some of his NIL money, and he bought his mom a brand new car, brand new white Jeep Wrangler. You love this type of stuff. It's just kind of weird seeing a teenager who hasn't even played a down in college yet. He's a freshman. There are players now who have the ability to buy mom a car, as well as themselves a car. So Jakeem was the number 33 overall recruit in the class of 2025 per On3. And he decided he wanted to play for Lincoln Riley and USC. He chose USC over LSU, the hometown school, Oregon, and Ohio State. It's working out pretty well for him. He basically what he showed everybody on his Instagram account. He said this. I'm gonna read what he wrote. Thank you, Mom. I truly love you. I hope this little gift shows how much I appreciate you. This isn't the end. It's just the start. I thank you so much. I mean, yeah, that's pretty special, right? We know Jakeem as Thanos. He's played 1 year of high school football as a sophomore. He had a pretty good year that year. 85 tackles. 33 of them were for a loss, and he had 20 sacks. Yeah. Pretty good player, huh? Pretty good prospect. Now he's being coached up by Eric Henderson. He's at USC. He's already started the process. He enrolled early. So just to remind everyone why he picked USC. He could have gone anywhere. He could have stayed home, gone to LSU, gotten paid. He'd gone to Ohio State, pretty much guarantee himself to be developed by one of the best defensive line coaches in the country, Larry Johnson, probably make the playoffs. He could have gone and got a bag from Oregon. He's going to get all of that now at USC. He's got the bag. He's got great developmental coaching. He's got a chance to help USC get to the playoffs. To that point, this is why he picked USC. Quote, "It was a lot of things out there. It's opportunity. Coach Riley told me the word transcendent. Be a trendsetter and come over and turn the program around. They have positive things with that program. The new defense is now ranked number 32. He's referring to how USC's defense ended the 2024 season. The year before, it was number 131. That's a big jump in improvement. There's a lot of off-the-field activities I can take advantage of. Coach Henney, it's a feeling you can't explain, and trusting God with your decision." And then we'll call him his mentor. He loves USC. His mentor's name is Clyde Alexander. He told this to Steve Wiltfong, who's also part of On3. The opportunities they present for him with life after football. Jakeem is one of those kids who really wants to be successful outside of football. USC is one of those places. There are a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different companies, Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of opportunities in that Los Angeles area. Being able to connect and network in that realm are things that really attract him. So yeah, he's getting a nice NIL package, but he's looking at the bigger picture. He's looking at the USC family, the network, what they can do for him after football. But he's already ahead of the game. He's already paying it forward. He understands that support team behind you is just as important as the people who are looking out at you in the future. You kind of like that, right? I saw that story and I was like, wow, that's special. I wish I had the opportunity to buy somebody a new car. Jakeem, I need a new car. Want to help me out? I'm kidding. All right. What I'm not kidding about is this episode of Locked on USC. It's over. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one. That's what we do around here 5 times a week. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.